Hey, what's up, Spencer? My name is Everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the very first Trolls movie, which first came out in 2016, but is based on the popular children's toys from the 1960s. I'm not sure why suddenly we decided to make a movie about fat little men with weird hair from 50 years ago, but based on the amount of people who fit that description who messaged me on Grindr, I'm not sure that I mind. So Trolls is a jukebox musical movie in which our main characters Poppy and Branch have to go on an adventure to save their friends from getting eaten from the evil Bergens. If you're not familiar, a jukebox musical is a musical made using songs that have already all pre-existed. So none of the songs that are used in this movie were written specifically for this film. Well, except for that one Justin Timberlake song. I remember when this movie came out, I was actually working at a family restaurant, and because the song had been played on the radio so much, it had actually been added to the queue of music we were playing at the restaurant. And so one day this little girl came up to me and was like, "Could you play the Trolls song again, please?" And I had to be like, no, because we don't control the music, corporate does. But this movie is very interesting in the songs that they decide to play. But the first few songs that I heard in it, such as "Celebrate Good Times, Come On," I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense for this type of movie. I'm not surprised to hear it. But then suddenly we're singing shit like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend," and even like a gorilla cover? What the hell is that doing in the Trolls movie? I don't know who picked the songs for this movie, but I do know that I am going to have to wear a neck brace from the amount of whiplash that I got from it. Anyway, let's get into the actual plot of this movie. So this movie actually starts off just like Shrek, where we're opening up a storybook and we're hearing a little tale.
Once upon a time, in a happy forest, in the happiest tree, lived the happiest creatures the world has ever known. The trolls. The Bergens didn't know how to sing, or dance, or even hug. They were the most miserable creatures in all the land.
Girl, I understand that we're gonna get to the part where the Bergens started eating you, but I really don't think it's a smart idea to start off a movie by saying, "I'm part of the happy, good, pretty race, and those people are part of the bad, evil, ugly race." I'm pretty sure that the last time somebody tried to pull that, we kinda had to have a whole war about it. So apparently because the trolls are so happy and so perfect all of the time, that means that the Bergens decided to steal some of their happiness by eating them. Because everyone knows that that's how emotions work. I know every time I eat a chicken sandwich, I can definitely feel the despair of the chicken who lived in a 2 by 3 foot cell and never lived a single moment outside of it. I can really feel the longing of this chicken to have the grass underneath its little clawed feet and to be able to view the beauty of the heavens with its own little beady eyes. But this is sort of where our story begins, with a holiday called Trollstice. Trollstice is the annual event in which Bergens eat trolls and feel happy for about 3 minutes, like every time I buy a new book from Barnes & Noble and think, my depression surely won't come back this time. My biggest question here is, if trolls are truly the only thing that makes Bergens happy, why would you limit yourself to only eating them once a year? I assume that trolls are to Bergens what bacon is to Americans, and we don't restrict ourselves to that being an annual event. Instead, we're slapping that shit on everything. So why are the Bergens also not doing the same? Did the Bergens previously eat so many trolls that they almost hunted them to extinction the way we did with bison? Did the troll population really become so decimated that the only way to allow them to bounce back was to make troll eating an annual event? I have so many questions and need to know more about this world's backstory. So like I was saying, it is Trollstice, but not any Trollstice. This is Prince Gristle's very first Trollstice, and thus he is incredibly excited and happy to have the opportunity to eat his very first troll. However, there seems to be a little problem.
What are you feeling?
That one's rotten!
It's peak?
That's right, the trolls are finally doing it! They're getting their freedom by escaping out into the big wider world! I love how in the shot the Troll King just straight has his dick out, like they even shoot it to cover his crotch as though he got like the full balls and shaft just hanging out everywhere, even though I know he doesn't, because there's another character who is just fully nude throughout the entirety of the film. But this is where our little flashback ends. We are now 20 years in the future, where the trolls have now had their little civilization and have been living their happy little troll lives for the past 20 years. Well, everybody has except for one person. Branch. Branch is kind of like your local conspiracy theorist. You know, the guy who's always running around yelling about how aliens are gonna abduct us and shove probes up our asses, which, for some of us, that actually doesn't sound like such a bad time. Call me a monster fucker if you want, but if a little guy wants to take me away from the horrors that is Trump's America in exchange for playing a little dingle-dangle with my booty hole, I don't think I'd say no.
If I can hear you, so can the Bergens.
You always ruin everything, warning us about the Bergens.
No, I don't. The Bergens are coming! Ah! The Bergens are coming! Ah! The Bergens are coming! Ah!
Yeah, stop crying over your dead husband and start running! If you don't get out of here fast, then you won't need to miss him anymore, because soon you'll be seeing him up in troll heaven, which, now that I'm making that joke, kind of insinuates that trolls believe in Christianity. Which, based on this wedding that we just saw with the little white dress and everything like that, I mean, maybe they do. But then that would insinuate that there was a troll Jesus, or Treesus, if you will, who died for their little troll sins. But then, why would anybody believe in Treesus? I mean, Immaculate Conception actually isn't an unknown thing in the troll universe. It's actually pretty... Actually, you know what? I'm starting to get a little bit ahead of myself now, and I think we should probably circle back around to the movie. So Branch doesn't want everybody to be throwing this big bash, because he's worried that if they celebrate too loudly, that will alert the Bergens to their location, and have everybody, you know, get kidnapped and eaten. But everybody thinks that he's being absolutely ridiculous, and throws their party anyway. And wouldn't you know, Branch was right, and the trolls do get discovered by this lady, who used to be the royal cook but was fired when the trolls first escaped 20 years ago and has now been seeking them out to exact her revenge. Mwahaha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. So after a whole bunch of people get kidnapped, Poppy goes to Branch and is like, hey, so I know that you were kind of all wrong about like Bush Troll doing Troll 9/11, but it turns out you weren't wrong about the Bergens coming and kidnapping us, so I want you to help me save our friends. To which Branch is like, nah, I would rather stay in my zombie bunker and not get eaten. He also says this?
Yeah, I really only have enough supplies down here to last me 10 years, 11 if I'm willing to store and drink my own sweat, which I am.
I know that they probably picked sweat because they most likely weren't allowed to talk about drinking piss in a PG kids movie, but I don't know, something about the implication of drinking sweat seems so much grosser than drinking pee to me. It's kind of like how spitting in each other's mouths has kind of become normalized as a sex act nowadays, but if anybody tried to doing that to me, I would immediately vomit. I don't even like making out with people when there's a little bit too much saliva in the mouth. You better swallow that shit before you get those lips anywhere near my face. So Poppy punishes Branch for not deciding to go with her by forcing him to engage in physical contact and then goes out into the big wide world. And it actually wasn't until this point that I realized what type of animation we were dealing with, because it's when Poppy goes out into the world that I started to really become noticing, wow, I really started to notice that the animation was really making it seem like the world was made out of felt and knitted material, and wow, it just looks so cool. You know what we should do? Because this animation is so cool, we should make a live action version of this movie. So Poppy's journey starts out good, but before long she gets herself into trouble and has to be saved by none other than Branch. It turns out he decided to come along because he could not deal with the troll tradition of hugging every hour on the hour, which, honestly, same. Introvert nightmare. Get the fuck away from me. Honestly, I love Branch. Branch is me. I am him. He is my spirit animal. Wait, no. I remembered saying spirit animal isn't cool. We don't do that anymore. Now you say fursona. Wait, do trolls count as fursonas? Poppy and Branch meet this annoying ass cloud character who Branch almost immediately tries to stab to death, which, based. Go Branch, you kill that motherfucker. But this cloud character does lead them through a series of tunnels that brings them into the Bergen town. Ooh. So they somehow make it through the Bergen town without getting caught and into the castle, where they then proceed to watch their friend get eaten alive.
But I think I should share this moment with all the kingdom. Oh my god.
No!
Yes.
Except obviously he's not dead, because this is a kids movie and nobody ever dies in kids movies, unless it's Disney and you're the villain. So Poppy and Branch follow their non-Vord friends down into the kitchen basement, where they then try and get them out of the cage, only to be caught by a Bergen named Bridget. Because we have learned that Bridget actually has a secret crush on King Gristle, the trolls decide to exchange their freedom in order to help Bridget get a date with the king. I feel like I said that opposite. They're not giving up they want their freedom in exchange for helping her get a date with the king. You know what I'm talking about. So we're doing a whole makeover thing. Everybody's singing and dancing except for Branch. And this is when we get, honestly, the most hilarious trauma backstory that I have ever heard in my goddamn life.
Why won't you sing?
Because singing killed my grandma, okay?
It wasn't even a good song. I was just rapping Eminem. If she had to die, it could have been Bon Jovi or Beyonce or something. Yeah, so it turns out that when Branch was a little baby, he was one day singing and dancing when a Bergen stumbled across them and tried to grab him, but little Gam Gam got in the way and sacrificed herself instead, which is why Branch is so paranoid about the Bergens all the time, why he hates singing and dancing so much. And while this backstory does clear some things up, more than anything, it just raises more questions for me. First off, how did this Bergen just get Gam Gam and not also kidnap little baby Branch? And more than that, how did they not also find all of the other trolls that would have been living around in the same area that Baby Branch and his grandma were living in? And also, why does Branch look like he's 65 when Poppy is supposed to be the equivalent of like 23? They're obviously supposed to be love interests, so why does he look to be the same age as her father? I mean, the man has crow's feet. Did the trauma really do him that dirty? So the trolls dress Bridget up in a little jumpsuit and they use their hair in order to give her a fabulous weave, and then they go out and do the whole entire thing where they tell her what to say to King Gristle.
And who might you be?
Your name is,
Lady.
Glitter Sparkles.
Seriously?
My name is Lady Glitter Sparkles, seriously.
I need to know, has anybody actually tried doing this in real life? This is a trope that I see so often in like almost every single show and movie that I have ever seen. There is the trope of somebody telling the person on the date talking in their ear, and then it goes absolutely horribly wrong. Has anybody ever actually tried this in real life? If you have tried this in real life, please let me know in the comments down below, and let me know if it was as much of a disaster as it always happens to be on TV. So things are actually going pretty good between Bridget and King Gristle, who actually happens to be voiced by the same guy who does Fish Legs from How to Train Your Dragon, until the royal cook shows up. I'm sure that this bitch has a name, but do I know it? No. So because Bridget works as a scullery maid for the royal cook, obviously Bridget is like absolutely terrified that she's gonna get recognized. Also, she has like a dozen trolls just chilling on her dome right now. So she runs out of the roller skating rink, pulling a little Cinderella on her way out.
Lady Glitter Sparkles! I'll see you at Trollstis! Yeah? I miss you already. Ow!
Back at the castle, the trolls want to save their eaten friend who, hey, as it turns out, hadn't been eaten because, you know, this is a kid's movie. People don't die in kids' movies. King Gristle definitely still has him hanging around. And when I say hanging around, I mean like literally he has him hanging in a pendant around his neck. Bridget doesn't want the trolls to go because she needs them in order to have her luxurious hair and to continue her little whole like rouge of being this princess for the king. But the trolls sneak away and are able to grab the pendant in a series of funny mishaps that involves them shooting butt glitter at a crocodile. Alligator? Crocodile. Either aquatic, amphibian. They're shooting butt glitter at this reptile. When I saw this part, the adult part of me was like, oh my god, this movie is so stupid. But the 6-year-old part of me knew that every single small child in the theater must have been laughing their fucking ass off because I know that kids think that this type of shit is the funniest shit that they have ever seen in their goddamn lives. Which, I guess, technically it is, seeing as they're only 6. It's not like they have that much life experience. So the trolls finally get away, and when they open up the pendant, it turns out the locket is empty! Not only that, but they also get captured by the royal cook, who explains that the guy who they were trying to save, whose name is Creek, by the way, I kind of didn't say that, but Creek apparently sold out the entire troll settlement in exchange for his life. Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll work out perfectly. They'll definitely stick to their word and not eat you at all after they're finished eating everybody else who you know. Great plan, man. So everybody in the little troll village gets kidnapped and everyone gets thrown into this pot so that they can be eaten for the first trollstice that has happened in 20 years. This depresses Poppy so much that she actually proceeds to lose her color and turns grayscale. And because trolls have a mob mentality, I guess everyone else also goes black and white. For some reason, however, the only person completely unaffected by this is Branch, who, seeing as he has revealed his backstory to us, is no longer affected by his trauma, and thus sings a whole song to bring color back to the village. I don't know how that's supposed to help at all, because they're still gonna get eaten, but good job, I guess. Thankfully, Bridget comes in clutch, and instead of bringing the trolls up to the dining room where they were going to get eaten, she brings them outside and lets them all go free. It turns out Poppy was bad for being racist against the Bergens because they're not all evil and ugly and terrible. Honestly, they kind of go a little bit hard with the racism against the Bergens in this movie because at one point, they even insinuate that Bergens, not even insinuate, they straight up say that Bergens don't have feelings while watching Bridget sob.
Oh, she's in love with the king.
What are you talking about? Bergens don't have feelings.
When Bridget takes the pot back to the dining room, it's obviously empty, so the royal cook accuses Bridget of eating all of the trolls, which causes everybody in the dining room to want to beat Bridget up. Maybe kill her, perhaps? As a little treat? But at the last minute, the trolls bust into the dining room on that extra roller skate that Bridget had and jump onto her head, revealing her luscious locks and allowing King Gristle to realize that she was actually the woman that he was in love with all along. I love facial blindness in movies. I have facial blindness, so like anytime this stuff happens where people can't recognize someone because they've changed like a minor part of how they look, I get that. That would so be me. But this is when the trolls tell the Bergens that they don't need to eat trolls to be happy. They can just fall in love and be like regular happy instead. And the Bergens are so enamored by this idea that they just kick the royal cook out, everybody sings the last song, and they all live happily ever after. The end. I'm serious. That's the end. The movie is over now. Yes, so this is one of those movies that the messages seem good on the surface, but then kind of once you start to think about them for more than 2 minutes, they do seem a little bit problematic. Like throughout the movie, the trolls are constantly trying to get Branch to like assimilate to their culture and like really be into like singing and dancing and hugging and all that. And instead of learning to accept Branch for his differences, I guess the lesson is that Branch has to learn to sing and dance and hug despite his very valid trauma. And this is very similar to what they do to the Bergens, where they tell the Bergens that if they participate in troll culture, then that is the thing that will make them happy, instead of encouraging the Bergens to go out and develop their own culture and find out other things that might make them happy in life. Like, I agree that having a special someone in your life can definitely increase the amount of happiness that you have, but there's also a lot of things that can bring joy to a person that is not heteronormative romance. Also, I have so many questions about how this world works. First off, what the fuck is this llama thing? He clearly isn't a troll, so like what is he doing living and interacting in their troll society? And why is the royal cook a cook when she doesn't cook anything? Like, she doesn't make a single meal throughout this entire movie outside of stuffing Creek in a taco shell, and I would argue that that doesn't count. Instead of making any real recipes, she wants everybody to eat trolls alive, like with their blood and guts and eyeballs and bones and everything. I'm sorry, but if eating trolls is supposed to bring you happiness, I'm sure that it would make you a lot happier if you actually bake them into a real recipe instead of swallowing them whole. I know that there's some people out there who like eat octopus live, and ooh, that just sounds like a horrible experience to me. Like, why would you want to be able to feel something dying inside of you? I would never be able to handle a person living inside of my body, never mind a cephalopod dying inside of it. And more than that, what are troll breeding practices like? The trolls are technically livestock to the Bergens, and a really large part of maintaining livestock is livestock husbandry, so what does troll breeding really consist of? I actually watched this movie because this is one of my friend's favorite movies. She's into a lot of like really girly stuff like My Little Pony and Trolls and Miraculous Ladybugs, so she is definitely a troll expert, or a troll spurt if you will. So when I posed this question to her, I did not expect her to reply with an actual answer. The second movie confirms that trolls lay eggs, and male trolls can lay eggs. In the third movie, there's a troll with a Muppet wife, and they have biological kids in a very dragon donkey kind of way. She then proceeds to send me pictures of said Muppet babies. Also, asexual reproduction might be a thing because Diamond Guy hatches a smaller version of himself. To all of this I say, I don't know how to feel about this, to which she replies, none of us do! So you see, what I was saying about the whole, like, why would trolls believe in treasus if, like, immaculate conception is, like, such a normalized thing in troll society? But anyway, that's kind of everything that I have for this movie. I'm pretty 50-50 about whether I should watch the other troll movies. Like, I've seen a lot of kid movies, like probably more than an adult 30-year-old man reasonably should, and I would have to say that this movie is pretty mid. Like, the story and the character development is very basic, and I really don't think that it holds up in comparison to some of the other movies that DreamWorks has put out, such as How to Train Your Dragon and Shrek. But after hearing some of this cursed lore from my friend, I do have to say, my interest is kind of piqued. I kind of want to know what else is going on in the Trolliverse. the TCU, if you will. Also, while editing this video, my friend sent me this article where Justin Timberlake says that he was, quote, channeling 50 Shades of Grey while working on the Trolls World Tour soundtrack. This is definitely something for the adults. Let's just say the tension between Poppy and Branch is very sexual. The Trolls were on tour, you know what I mean? Bruh. Brother. What the fuck are you talking about? This is a kids movie for kids. Why are you talking about sexual tension? This makes me wonder about how he acts on his tours. Please don't tell me we're gonna have a Timberlake scandal in the future. And not to shit on smut stories, because I have written quite a few saucy tales in my time, but something tells me that if we look at JT's search history, it'd all be AO3 search results with tags like hurt comfort, cuddle fuck, and Branch massive dick. Maybe even Branch sweat drinking. I don't care who people ship and what characters they have fuck, but my guy, is this really something that you needed to inform the Mirror about? So let me know what you guys think. If you think that I should make another video about another one of these troll movies, let me know in the comments down below. But besides that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But besides that, make sure that you stay safe and have a fantastic day. Bye.